Wade and Wade reacts.
We got a subscriber request to check out the most powerful grunt suits, so let's get into it.
Grunts in Gundam tend to have a pretty bad reputation because, more often than not, they're just there to make the main mobile suits look good. But sometimes, a mass-produced grunt can prove to be an incredible threat, and today, we're going over 5 of those. So, we're starting all the way back with Double Zeta Gundam, a series where the main mobile suits are already very overpowered, so for a grunt to be overpowered, it must have been quite the thing. And in fact, we do get quite a few very strong mass production units like the Zaku 3 and the Doben Wolf. But the one that made it into this video is even more exceptional. The Kublai mass production version. Now, in Gundam, a mass production version is usually just a simplified version of the prototype, with maybe a few enhancements here and there. But the Kublai mass production version is pretty much a straight up upgrade from the Kublai Mark II. The basic frame remained mostly the same, with just some minor overhauls to the armor, but it got significantly more weapons. It kept the beam sabers, which doubled as beam guns, but it could carry 30 funnels instead of 10,
That's a good
and
question.
it got a pair of beam cannons on the backpack. The only downside was that these weapons did give the mass production type a lower acceleration, but I don't see that as too much of a problem, especially not when you've got multiple sets of 30 funnels to defend yourself.
Dang.
If it hadn't been for the Neo-Zeon Civil War, these things really could have made life difficult for the Federation. Moving into the 90s then, we get a machine that managed to do exactly that. The Virgo. An AI-equipped killing machine that combined the best aspects of the prototypes that it was based on. From the V8, it got a powerful beam cannon that was even capable of damaging these seemingly impervious Gundams, and from the Mercurius, it got the Planet Defensor System. A defense system where an electromagnetic barrier would be generated by little flying discs. Each Virgo had only 4 of these, stored on the left shoulder, but the Planet Defensors of several Virgos could be combined to form an even bigger and stronger barrier. And for even more defense, its armor was made out of Gundanium alloy, which by the definition of a Gundam in the After Colony era, would make the Virgo a Gundam. Their only downside was that they didn't have any close combat weapons, nor did their AI programming have any sophisticated close combat algorithms. A problem that was solved with its successor, the Virgo 2. These machines focused less on overwhelming firepower alone and aimed to be more balanced. It had 2 beam sabers, 8 planet defensors, and the choice between either a beam rifle, 2 beam rifles, or a mega beam cannon.
So is it a drone?
And for better mobility, it also got 2 shoulder-mounted thruster pods. Truly a machine not to be messed with. For something completely different then, we go to Turn A Gundam and the Wadong, also known as the Walking Dome or the Scarecrow. And this last one was a very apt nickname because one of the goals of the Wadong was psychological warfare. Standing at a massive 40 meters tall, this thing was meant to instill fear into the Earthlings with its presence alone. And if that wasn't enough, it also had the weapons to back up its fearsome reputation. From small to big, it came packing with 2 anti-air Vulcan guns, 4 small missile launchers, 6 large missile launchers, and an anti-ship beam cannon, which had enough power to destroy an entire city with just 1 shot.
That's crazy.
And to really put things into perspective, this alien-like machine was mostly fighting against an enemy with the technological know-how of the Industrial Revolution. So, yeah, good luck. Which is also what I would say when facing our next mass production mobile suit, the Jinx and its many descendants. In Gundam 00, the Gundams were able to reign supreme thanks to a number of reasons, and a big one was the GN drive system. This system was much more powerful than the generators of traditional mobile suits, and in turn allowed for the Gundams to completely outclass them in every single metric. As a result, Celestial Being was absolutely terrified at the idea of the GN Drive technology getting leaked. But leak it did, and mass-produced it was, along with a new mobile suit to put them in, the Jinx. To say that this was a monumental change would be an understatement, because as soon as the Jinxes were deployed, the Gundams would suffer their first ever defeat on the battlefield, marking a very big shift. The Gundams were no longer something to be feared, and the already somewhat obsolete non-GN Drive mobile suits would become increasingly obsolete. Although, because of how difficult it was to manufacture those GN Drives, even the knockoff GN Drive Taus, the Federation was never able to completely phase out non-GN Drive mobile suits in favor of their high-performance Jinx variants like the Jinx 2 and the Jinx 3. Still, it is said that around 1,000 of the Jinx 3 were produced, making it one of the most produced units on this list. Also, one cool thing with the Jinxes is that every older model could be easily converted into its upgraded form, and this was actively done. So it is entirely possible for one of the original Jinxes to be upgraded to a Jinx 2, then to a Jinx 3, and eventually even to a Jinx 4.
I know he probably has a Jinx development history video
variant,
too.
And simultaneously one of the most powerful mass production units around. But if we really want to talk longevity, we have to go to Gundam H and the Gaffron. Due to the Silver Chalice Treaty, the Earth Federation's mobile suits had become somewhat lacking. So when they were attacked by the Vegan, they were caught completely off guard. The Gaffron was so superior to anything that the Federation had that they weren't even in the same league, which led to the Gaffron not suffering a single defeat for 14 years, and therefore it was literally seen as invincible. They were so superior even that the only thing that the Vegans were afraid of was one of their Gaffrons somehow falling into the Federation's hands, allowing them to reverse engineer it. So every unit was equipped with a self-destruct mechanism, although I don't think this needed to be used very often in the early days. As for its other offensive capabilities then, it was a very well-rounded machine. With a combo beam Vulcan beam saber built into the hands, a beam rifle built into its tail, a diffuse beam cannon built into its abdomen, and the Colony Destroyer, a handheld weapon with the power to destroy a colony. So when the Gaffron first appeared, these were exceptionally fearsome mobile suits, and they would remain in service for over 60 years.
That's crazy.
Also making them some of the longest serving mobile suits around. And then finally for some honorable mentions, or well, dishonorable mentions in this case, we go to Gundam Seed Destiny, where we were first introduced to the Windham and the Multi-Striker Pack. Depending on the mission, this striker pack could be outfitted with a variety of different missiles, nukes. This pack was used for launching nukes, immediately making the Windham one of the most powerful machines out there, in theory. Because the only thing that was stronger than the Alliance's desire to nuke everything into oblivion was Zaft's desire to not get nuked into oblivion. Quite understandably. And the second Destiny machine that I wanted to give a mention is the Destroy Gundam. They were more limited production than mass production, but they are one of the few massive Gundams, or even Gundams in general,
I was gonna say, could that be considered
were produced
a grunt?
in some numbers. And their weapons were absolutely devastating. In its head, it had 4 Eagle-Stellung 75mm Seawiz guns and a Zorn Mark II 200mm energy cannon. On the chest, it had 3 Supercilla 1580mm multi-phase energy cannons. Its arms were giant remote weapons and featured a beam cannon each, as well as a beam gun in each finger. And finally, on the backpack, it had 4 Mark 62 6-tube multi-purpose missile launchers, 20 Nefertum 503 thermal plasma composite cannons, and 2
Yeah, that's crazy.
Dreitzen high-energy beam cannons. In short, this thing was capable of devastating anything that dared to come close to it. And early on, these things
With those
were
weapons, you don't really have to come
absolutely
close for
depicted
them
as
to destroy
such.
you.
But they had one big glaring weakness: the main characters. Once the main cast showed up, it was the old saying, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. And it is with these giant behemoths that we end this video on the most powerful mass production units in Gundam.
This was a pretty cool list. For the fans of Gundam, do you agree with the last one to destroy Gundam? Is that, considered a grunt suit like you brought up? I don't really think that's considered a grunt suit. I know the characters aren't named, but I'm pretty sure if you was in universe to operate a destroyed Gundam, you would have to be like a higher grade pilot.
I would think so too. And with the name Gundam, to me, that automatically eliminates the possibility of it being a grunt suit. And like you pointed out, I do think that you would have to have some type of prestige as a soldier and a pilot to pilot a mobile suit of that magnitude. And plus, only a few of them were produced and never went into mass production. So I think that that would be exactly right. This list was pretty cool though. I think the Jinx, that may be one of my favorites, but the one from Gundam AGE that they used for 60 years, I think that may be the most powerful grunt suit that we've ever seen.
Yeah, I didn't really too much like the design for that, because it was like a human type of form, and then it switched into like a dragon or something.
Yeah, I wouldn't say the most powerful grunt suit ever, but the most longevity. That award goes to the suit from AGE. But as far as power, I'm not sure. Maybe the GN drive system may put the Jinx over the edge.
Yeah, and then could those suits stand up against, if they don't have plot armor, could they stand up against the destroyed Gundam? The destroyed Gundam had this like an immense amount of power.
That's true. I wonder how the Jinx would do against the destroyed, given that they have the drive system. Would they be too fast, too explosive?
Yeah, that'd probably be a good fight if somebody's willing to do a stop motion or a fan animation. There you go right there.
That does it for our reaction to this kakarot197 subscriber request. Don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comment section. Also, like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you'll never miss a video from Wade and Wade Reacts.
And we're out of here.
Peace.